Indie horror is weird. A game will blow up and be the biggest thing that everyone wants their own version of, and the next day it's gone. When was the last time someone talked about Slender? Or Granny? They just get forgotten. Except a little game called Five Nights at Freddy's. This game spawned 8 sequels plus spin-offs, 50 books, and a movie, all in the span of 10 years. That's not even mentioning it creating 2 entire genres of horror games, one of them being the monolith that is mascot horror. What made it so successful? Can that success be replicated? Why should I even care? My name is Filtzi, and this is why FNAF worked. Before I get into major details, I'm going to do a quick refresher course on the plot of FNAF 1, just in case you've been in a coma since 2013 and this video is your first experience of the modern internet. The game has 3 basic story threads. The first is what you're playing. You're some guy named Mike Schmidt, you've got an awful job at a terrible pizza place where robots try and murder you using a fursuit Iron Maiden. You survive the week for barely any money before being fired because you were touching the robots. Pervert. If you came into this game looking for deep characterization and a personal journey, you are in the wrong place because this character is about as blank as a blank slate can get, which is actually pretty perfect because it allowed the audience to ascribe their own personality to this night guard. Luckily, we make up for your complete lack of personality with our second plot thread.
Hello? Hello?
Phone Guy is another employee at Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, probably a manager, and he's left you some training messages he recorded while working your shift. These messages are the beginning of the dark humour that became much more prevalent later on in the series.
Hello? Hey, you're doing great. Most people don't last this long. I mean, you know, they usually move on to other things by now. I'm not implying that they died. That's not what I meant.
Hearing this guy tell you about the horrors you're about to witness in a safe corporate tone, refusing to directly admit fault. The vocal performance, done by game developer Scott Cawthon, is actually really well done. The amateur voice acting makes the call feel like it's being sent by a real guy instead of a character. But all good things must come to an end, as on your 4th night he informs you that his night has gone bad.
Oh, hey, wow, day 4, I know you can do it. Hey, listen, I may not be around to send you a message tomorrow. It's been a bad night here for me.
He asks you to check inside the suits after you hear this. We hear banging on the doors and the distinct noises of the characters just before his sudden death. This man is a saint. He is seconds from death and he's still leaving you voicemail. He is committed to making sure you are a fully trained employee. And on the final night, it's just a robotic garbled mess. Whoever got to him must have figured out how to record a message of their own. The final plotline is hidden and can only be seen in secret newspaper articles that have a random chance to appear on the walls in place of posters. The articles tell of 5 children being lured away from their parents by an employee dressed as one of the mascots, and then disappearing. Even after the kidnapper was caught and convicted, they were never found. The animatronics began to produce foul smells, along with the reports of blood and pus seeping out of the eye sockets, repulsing customers and leading the restaurant towards bankruptcy. That's horrific and one of the best examples of show don't tell I've seen in a horror game. We're never explicitly told the corpses were hidden in the robots, but with the details given we're able to figure it out, alongside the chilling imagery of their blood being drained out of them by the robotic parts while their lifeless bodies slowly rot. Five Nights at Freddy's has some of the most unique gameplay of any horror game ever made. I'm sure you already knew that. But what made it effective? I think a huge part of it is how basic it is. The game was made in Click Team and is controlled solely by the mouse. Every screen is just a 2-dimensional render of the model's curve to give the illusion of a 3D space. This game's pretty easy to make as an early project for a budding game developer, which is probably why we saw so many fan games. The game is simple. You sit in an office and watch cameras while 4 animatronics slowly come to kill you, only being held back by 2 doors on either side of your office. But be careful, doors consume power, and if you run out of power, you die. One of the major things that makes this system work so well is the fact that the monsters are coming for you. In most horror games, your objectives require you to walk towards danger and give you the option of running away when you see it, giving you agency, a means of control. Here, the person holding the cards is this disturbed rabbit. From 6 to 12, you are his bitch. There is no hiding, there is no running. This office is all you have and it is not a safe space. Those doors can't stay closed for long. That reminds me, the power system is fucking incredible. See, the doors aren't the only thing draining your power. Everything you do does. Doors, lights, and most importantly, camera. This is the only game in the series that has the camera screen drain power, which is such a shame because I think it creates more stress than any other mechanic. The cameras are your only way of seeing what the animatronics are doing, and when you're forced not to use it, they could be anywhere. They could be right behind that door, and all you can do is sit, wait, hope that they aren't. Of course there are negatives that come with this. See, at more difficult stages of play, people find it better to forego the cameras entirely, relying only on the sound cues from the animatronics' movements. Which is a real shame because the camera system is so unique. Now self-defense is all well and good, but what are we actually defending against? There are 4 main animatronics: Bonnie, Chica, Freddy, and Foxy. Bonnie begins on the main stage and then will head down the left hallway before appearing in your doorway to jumpscare you. He's the most aggressive character on most nights, so you see his face a lot. He became a sort of unofficial mascot of the early games thanks to his constant threat level. Chica works the same as Bonnie, except going down the left hallway. She also has this lovely habit of staring directly at the camera. She knows you're watching. Freddy begins on the main stage and is completely inactive for the first 2 nights. When he does begin to move, he is almost always cloaked in shadow, with only the tiny lights of his eyes visible. He feels elusive, almost ghostly, especially paired with his unique movement sound. Freddy does not appear in your door lights, and will instead park himself in the corner just outside your office, and he will enter the office if you open the camera. When you run out of power, Freddy will appear at the left door. His face glows, and he will play the classical piece, March of the Toreadors, for a random amount of time before attacking. Foxy is the most unique animatronic. He resides in Pirate Cove and is currently out of order. Foxy must be checked on the cameras regularly, or he'll begin to leave the cove in stages. Upon leaving the cove, Foxy will run to the office. He is the only animatronic with a moving animation, and he will either kill you, or if the door is closed, begin to slam on it, draining your power. The animatronics being so unique in their mechanics is a stroke of genius. It allowed people to assign personalities to each of the characters. I remember fan theories about Foxy being a secret good guy because he has a slightly different death animation. Your punishment for dying is always a jump scare. Plain and simple. This was a huge point of criticism when the game got popular, but I think it's really effective due to the tension the game builds. See, all the mechanics lead to one thing: stress. You are constantly being approached. You are constantly watching for threats. You are never safe. No other game makes me feel as on edge as this. Just constant anxiety and tension knowing death can come at every moment. There were times I got scared by accidentally putting the camera down too early because I thought it was the end. And when you survive, you hear the bell chime, the celebration, and you feel amazing.
If you've enjoyed the video so far, please consider liking and subscribing.
Now let's look at the game's visuals, starting with the locations. All the spaces in this game are filthy, dark, and incredibly cramped. Even when there's no immediate threat, the game is uncomfortable. Everything just seems a little bit wrong. The drawings all have blacked out eyes, the walls have black mold creeping down them, everything is in disrepair. The building feels abandoned and claustrophobic. This is something I feel is missed in a lot of mascot horror. Most of the time they leave their environments under-detailed and oversized, and I'm not going to feel very afraid in this fucking pristine warehouse you put me in. Then we have the animatronics themselves, clearly heavily inspired by 90s Chuck E. Cheese animatronics with the sunken human-like eyes and stiff movement. One of the most important factors as to why this design works is that the animatronic's existence is entirely plausible. A monster like Huggy Wuggy isn't really scary, purely because we can look at it once and know that it would never exist in real life. It's too cartoonish as a monster. Freddy is based on something very real and already quite scary. The eyes of each animatronic are removable, replacing their vacant gaze with a pair of tiny white lights that pierce through the darkness. This is sparingly used, mostly reserved for Freddy, but in the correct lighting it looks directly into your soul. And their most important feature, their gaping mouths with their large rectangular bottom teeth. Mouths are important because of how heavily they feature in the jump scare, visually about to bite into your face. While most of the gruesome details of your death are left to your imagination, those jaws are not. The only animatronic I don't really like the look of is Foxy, mostly due to him basically just being an endoskeleton with some tattered fabric. But the model quality in these early games really don't have the fidelity to make rundown materials look realistic. He also loses a lot of size on the other robots, looking pretty small and spindly. He's also just got a bad jump scare. The scares might be a cliche, but they're a climax of the night. You can't just have him poke his head in and say hi there like an unwanted visit from human resources. You know what? New fan theory. Foxy is your manager. He gets mad at you for not using the cameras enough, and he comes in with a dickhead manager stance. Hire me, game theory. Upon death, we get this scene. Very little is shown except for our eyes popping out of the suit. It keeps the gore levels low for potential younger audiences, while conjuring images of a mangled corpse for those with a working frontal lobe. While writing this script, I almost forgot the unsung hero of every game, movie, and TV show: audio design. The monotone drone, the warping otherworldly sound that gets louder the more danger you're in. It makes the location feel alive, but also makes it feel like it shouldn't be. Then we have the camera sounds. The cameras themselves are loud and produce distorted audio. Really making it feel like your only method of seeing outside is unreliable. Random carnival music, distorted whispers, Foxy singing to himself. FNAF's sound design is so well used, unique, and recognisable, and the funniest part is not a single one of these sounds was made for the game. Here's the part we've been waiting for. You can make the best game in the world, but without any marketing hooks, it'll fall between the cracks. But FNAF included this kind of marketing through game design. Maybe not the first to do so, but definitely the first to perfect it. Let's look at the most famous line in the community.
They used to be allowed to walk around during the day too, but then there was the bite of 87. Yeah, it's amazing that the human body can live without the frontal lobe.
This is some phenomenal storytelling because it tells us almost nothing. The event has a name, a description of damage, and nothing else. We need to figure out who was bitten, why they were bitten, and most importantly, who done it. And it's never directly brought up again, but it remained the biggest mystery for years. To this day, we still don't have an exact answer, just an educated guess. Or how about the only character I didn't mention earlier? Yellow Bear, or as you might know him, Golden Freddy. This 300 Fazcoin rare reskin of Freddy has a 1 in 100,000 chance of appearing on a poster every time you look at camera 2B. Then once you flip your camera down, he will be there.
Oh god, what the fuck?
He's a Freddy suit with no eyes, yellow fur, and most importantly, no endoskeleton. He never moves, not even to kill you, and crashes the game when you die. These few things spawned a lot of fan theories. Golden Freddy is a ghost. Golden Freddy is a hallucination. Golden Freddy is a reference to a real-life shooting survivor. Jesus fucking Christ, MatPat, what is wrong with you? I'd also like to note that according to the audio, the phone guy was killed by Golden Freddy. Despite being a palette swap of one of the other characters, and basically never being mentioned ever, Golden Freddy is one of the most well-known and beloved characters. Now every time Golden Freddy appears, we see 3 images flash on the screen quickly. Freddy with bloodshot human eyes, Bonnie with empty eye sockets, and the text, "It's me." "It's me" is everywhere in this game. It appears on Foxy's sign, it appears written on the walls, and these hallucinations also have a chance to appear during normal gameplay. While the words alone are completely innocent, boring even, anyone can say "it's me" and it's always true, the context for its appearance is almost threatening. A familiar spirit haunting you with messages of its arrival. It's so distinct yet simple it became a catchphrase for fans to spread around like the goddamn plague rats that they are. And finally, what the series became most famous for, it tells you nothing. So back to the plot. We as an audience are aware that there's a killer, but we're never told who that killer is other than an employee. Now the game only has 2 human characters, Mike Schmidt, you, and Phone Guy. Now the only evidence we have at this point is that both characters are employees at the pizzeria and the animatronics are trying to kill them / have killed them, therefore revenge. Which is equally true for both. Neither could really be proven or disproven in any way. Surprise surprise, this caused civil war. Who would have guessed that people on the internet like arguing about pointless bullshit? Considering how bare bones this game was, the fans had a lot to talk about. That, combined with some clever game design, made the game the empire we know it as today. I really hope you enjoy the video. It's a little bit different, but I felt like talking about it and I worked really hard on it. If you made it this far, please like the video, subscribe, and share it around. I'm a small channel and I love all the support I get. See ya!